Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I am going to be discussing last night's game between the Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz. However, before I get too far into it, I would like to remind you all to leave a like and subscribe. I've been appreciating all the support that I've been receiving lately, and I hope to see that continue. Now, without further ado, let's discuss the game. This was a really nice win from the Denver Nuggets. It snapped the Utah Jazz's win streak of 11 games coming into this game, and it came on the shoulders of an MVP caliber performance from Nikola Jokic. Jokic gave them an incredible 47-point, 12-rebound effort in which he was very efficient scoring the ball, was able to get to the free throw line frequently, and was knocking down his shots from beyond the arc as he was 4 for 4 from three-point land. Jokic came out guns a-blazing as he knocked down multiple threes en route to putting up a 22-point first quarter. The Jazz came out with Bojan Bogdanovic being the matchup for the Joker, and Jokic just was not having that. He was very aggressive in looking for the ball as he was very much able to take advantage of his matchup with Bogdanovic. The reason why the Jazz were doing that was so that they could have Rudy Gobert as a weak side rim protector, but Jokic is just so patient and so smart. He's able to use his body to get in position to where that weak side rim protector isn't really able to impact his shot. Jokic was able to either use the rim to protect the ball and use a reverse layup to score over Gobert, or he was able to just stay out on the perimeter a little bit. He was able to hit those 2 threes in the first quarter and 4 throughout the game. And he just did a really nice job of effectively scoring the ball despite the other team having one of the best interior defenders in the entire league. Throughout the game, the Jazz adjusted and they swapped Gobert and put him on Jokic, as they probably should have for the whole game. I'm not taking anything away from Quinn Snyder. Being creative is smart, and had Jokic had a poor game, this probably could have been a look that he could have used had these two teams been matched up in the playoffs for this upcoming season. But it didn't work, so he had to go back to what the more conventional strategy of having Gobert on Jokic would be. And that just didn't really change all that much either. Gobert was fouling Jokic as Jokic shot 10 free throws in this game. He wasn't really able to slow him down as Jokic was able to hit jump shots in Gobert's face, despite Gobert obviously being one of the more intimidating and high-quality closeout players in the league because of his insane length. And Jokic just had an incredible game. Overall, throughout the game, he was super consistent. As I said, 22 points in the first quarter, 33 points in the first half, finished with 47. Also had 5 assists, although that really wasn't where he was standing out in this game. He was looking to score at a much higher level, perhaps trying to make a statement against one of the other premier centers in the league in Gobert. But I also kind of want to discuss Jokic's MVP case so far this season. Now, MVP is most valuable player, as we all know, but I think that Jokic probably fits that specific term better than any other player in the league so far. If you take him off of this Nuggets team that has had Jamal Murray miss some time with an injury and who has also really struggled to get going so far this season, and Michael Porter Jr. barely played at all so far because of multiple cases in which he had some issues with the health and safety protocols. So Jokic has really been the only player keeping this Nuggets team above water, and he's done it at a really high level. And now that Murray and Porter are back on the court, they've really started to win at a higher rate and worked themselves into the top 4 of this Western Conference. And Jokic has been doing it by having a great statistical season. He is having a career year in terms of scoring. He's in the top 10 in assist rate so far this year, in the top 15 in steal rate, and these are both career highs for him. He's finding players at an even higher level and making even better reads than he ever has in the past, which is really saying something considering the basketball genius that is Nikola Jokic, but he's also been able to make his presence felt at a higher level on the other end, the defensive end, the less glamorous end, at a higher level than he has in the past because of the fact that he's been able to slim down a little bit, and he's probably in much better shape heading into this season than he ever has been in the past. That top 15 steal rate in the league testifies to that and shows how influential he's been for this team on the defensive end of the floor. He also is in the top 20 in true shooting percentage, despite also being in the top 25 in usage rate. So that means that despite him having the ball in his hands all the time, he's still able to score efficiently, which is really impressive as we see some players who have to shoot as much as Jokic, guys like his teammate Jamal Murray or Bradley Beal or Kyrie Irving, have seasons in which they are much lower in terms of the true shooting percentage because of that high usage rating and the volume of shots that they're forced to take. They can't continue to produce as efficiently as they otherwise would. But Jokic is still able to be very efficient from the field, and that's another thing that adds on to that MVP case. Overall, you can make an argument for a lot of players so far this season. Joel Embiid and the Sixers have been great, and he's probably the other front runner in my mind. It's between these two centers. And then outside of those two, you have players like LeBron and Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant that have all been spectacular as well. But when it all comes down to it, I think that Jokic should be my pick because of how valuable he's been for this Nuggets team so far this season. There's a lot of time left in the year, and I'm not necessarily sure that he will keep that standing in my mind as the most valuable player for the 2020-2021 regular season as it continues. But at this current juncture, I think he would probably be my pick. Getting back to this game as a whole, though, Will Barton also had a terrific first half for the Nuggets as he put up 15 points on made all 5 of his 3-point attempts in that first half, as this Nuggets team was red hot as a whole, knocking down 14 of their 16 threes, 12 of their 14 threes in that first half, which is just ridiculous. Like, who's ever heard of making 12 of your first 14 3-point attempts? That's why this game was so lopsided to begin, and once the Nuggets started cooling off, then that's how the Jazz were able to come back and cut the lead down to single digits at one point in the third quarter. But Barton was knocking down shots with a lot of confidence off of the dribble, and that was good to see from him because he's had a bit of an inconsistent start to the season, and when he's really on, he has a chance to be probably the 3rd or 4th best all-around player for this Nuggets team. He's really important to this team's success, and this is certainly an encouraging sign to see him playing as strongly as he did today. He also made a few really nice passes, finishing with 6 assists. I can't say that this was the best game for him defensively, as Bojan Bogdanovic was really able to go at him, and for Jazz fans, it has to be super encouraging that Bojan has had back-to-back great games like he has over these past 2, as tonight Bojan had 29 points on 8 for 13 shooting, 5 for 10 from 3, 8 for 10 from the line. He really struggled to open up the season, but tonight and on Friday night against the Mavericks, he has been playing extraordinarily well, and that has to be a good sign for the Jazz, as the fact that you've already got so much offensive firepower with Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. Joe Ingles is a nice role player. Royce O'Neal can knock down open shots. You have Gobert and Favors inside. When Bogdanovic is firing on all cylinders, it brings another layer of weaponry to this Jazz offense. So definitely a good sign to see Bojan playing this well. There's some other things that haven't been great for the Jazz, but Bojan has stepped it up, and that is certainly a good sign. But getting back to Will Barton, it's key that he plays well for this Nuggets team to win games, especially with this apparent Gary Harris injury. I have not heard what that is yet, but Harris did leave in the first quarter of today's game and did not return, did not play any more minutes. I think he finished with just 9 minutes played. So that definitely has a bit of a sign for concern if you're a Nuggets fan. Harris has struggled on the offensive end, and his shooting struggles have been much maligned. But he's still really important because of what he does for this team on the defensive end of the floor. So if he is forced to miss extensive time, it means that Monte Morris probably has to step into the starting lineup, which takes a huge weapon off of this Nuggets bench on the offensive end of the floor. Facundo Campasso looked pretty good off the bench and gave them some really good minutes, but you don't want Gary Harris to miss a lot of time with injury because it just changes the rotation a whole lot, and it's not something that would be good for the Nuggets in the long term. I'm not really sure what the injury is, so I won't say too much more, but hopefully Gary Harris is feeling all right and is ready to play again very, very soon. But one last thing on the Jazz, Donovan Mitchell really struggled today, and if you guys have been watching this channel for a long time, you would know that Donovan is one of my favorite players in the league, but his decision making is not the best. He had 5 turnovers today, and a lot of them were just really bad decisions. The one that stands out to me right away was there was an occasion in which he put his head down and drove to the rim. I think it was at a time where the Nuggets were going on a run and he was trying to get the Jazz back into the game himself, and he ended up being a little over aggressive and turned the ball over. He made a few really bad passes, one of which was when Bojan Bogdanovic was in the corner. He cut to the rim, and Mitchell just threw it out of bounds. There was another play where he was trying to find one of the big guys rolling to the rim and ended up throwing the ball away. So, yeah, the decision-making is an issue, and it's an area where he has to improve on his game. Shaq made a comment earlier last week, I believe, about Donovan Mitchell and how he has to improve as a playmaker, and I actually think that he's a solid passer, but it's more of the decision-making aspect of playmaking where Donovan has to get better. He didn't shoot real well from the field either today, but it was his first game back following being in concussion protocols, so I don't think that there's too much you can take away from this game from Donovan Mitchell. Overall, this was a great game from the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic was absolutely outstanding, and like I said before, is my early season MVP pick. Let me know what you thought of this game in the comment section down below. Who was your pick for the early season MVP? Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. That's going to be it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you all again very soon.